Welcome, everybody, to Blue Collar Chats. I am your host, Cameron Vogelsang. It's raining a little bit outside, so please forgive me with the sound effects with the rain. I'm in a shed, like I've said before, and I have a metal roof, and so the rain sometimes it picks up really heavy, and sometimes it's kind of light right now. But just a forewarning, you may hear all kinds of thunder and rain in the background. Glad y'all could tune in. Have a very special guest on today. Well, every guest is special, but the person that is going to join us today, he reached out to me back when I first started my Instagram channel, and he has a podcast as well, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But he invited me on his podcast like a year and a half ago, and that was my very first podcast, and we've been friends ever since. And he is the vice president of a custom home builder. And so I'll just go ahead and let him introduce himself here. Let's bring him in. What's going on, buddy?
For having me, man. It's such an honor and a pleasure to be on your show. I still remember when I first met you on Instagram and got you to come on our podcast, feed me your construction content to hear more about your journey and what you wanted to do and just how much you've grown since that day. Like you're not even the same person anymore.
Yeah, I think I've kind of seen that myself a little bit. Yeah, so much has happened in not even 2 years. So much in my life has
Yeah.
changed. Been through trials and had some really good moments and stuff. And so it's crazy to see just in a year and a half of how things can change.
Yeah, it really is. And I remember we were talking about kind of what your vision was and some of the things that you wanted to accomplish. And one of them was you wanted to be in business for yourself. You wanted to get your contractor's license, your electrician license.
Sure.
And you wanted to do some of these things. And you said, I want to do it by the end of the year, some time frame. And I said, Cameron, that's not good enough. You're smarter than that. You're better than that. Let's set a goal of like June. Like it was like a 3 month crazy goal
Sure.
and you started chipping away at things and man, it's that's why I say it's an honor to be on your show today, because you today have come so far and I couldn't be more proud of you, man.
I appreciate it. This is actually a new endeavor that I've taken on. So I've been on Instagram and TikTok a little bit for the longest time, and I just decided to try something different and get all of the equipment I need to do this whole podcast thing. Which
Yeah.
actually none of this has become a podcast yet. Right now, it's just all being uploaded on YouTube as visual. It's just easier. I try to just keep my life as simple as possible. And like I told Josh before we started recording, that look, I can edit in an emergency, but this thing is getting uploaded raw. I don't have time to be editing and doing all this. I don't even know how to do all that. So you get one shot at this, and I'm sorry if but hopefully, I know, actually not hopefully, I know it's going to go well. So if you would, I just said your name, Josh, but would you tell everyone your name, who you are, what you do, where you're from, all that good stuff?
Yeah. Josh McMahon. I work for Bramante Homes, which is a luxury custom home builder in Charlottesville, Virginia, so central Virginia. We 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 build 10 to 12 million a year in real estate, average price point of 1.75 to 2.2 million. I manage a modest team of 6 people, 3 project managers, project coordinator, and a sales team. And uh, and it's been a lot of fun, man. The COVID years have been challenging. We're still dealing with some of that stuff and rebuilding some of our trade base. And that's what I really wanted to talk to you about today is the importance of the trade partners, not just subcontractors, right? And I think there's a stark difference from a builder's perspective between a trade partner and a subcontractor.
Yeah. So some people may know already, I'm an electrician, like you said before, earlier. I'm a licensed electrician, got my license last year. But I want this channel not just to be about electricians. I want to talk with other tradesmen, other people that are in the trades, someone like you who's a higher up in your company. And yeah, so when we're talking about trade partners, a question that I wanted to pose you, and I want it to kind of be the central theme of this episode, is all right. You're a vice president, so you're obviously hiring and firing.
Yeah.
What are you looking for in subcontractors? What are builders, GCs, looking for when it comes to when they're how they're gonna pick, an electrician or a plumber or whatever sub for that matter?
Yeah, so look, I can't speak for every builder because we're all different. Some builders are looking for the cheapest price that they can find. That's just the reality of the business. And when you figure out what your business stands for and what you're interested in, you can weed out those builders. Myself personally, I'm looking for trades that do what they say they're going to do. I'm looking for really good attitudes. I'm looking for win-win attitudes, right? You have to understand that the builder, the general contractor, we're not making bags full of money on these projects. Our margins are very tight. So anything that goes wrong, we're losing in those instances. So I need trades that understand the value of my team, my company making money, along with your company making money. So I think when you come to the table with that win-win attitude and you start when you say you're going to start and you finish the jobs when you say you're going to be finished, and I know electricians don't understand this, but cleanliness, you clean up at the end of the day. Of course, that's a joke. Cameron and electricians do clean. But when you do those things, it sends the message to the clients that you care about their home. And it sends the message to the builder that you care. And that's ultimately what we're looking for.
Yeah. So, like you said, builders. There's going to be all kinds of different builders out there who have different philosophies or different goals. And I think it's good that you mentioned that builders just don't have they're not all of them just have just money growing on trees. I think that's kind of a misconception. Oh yeah, the builders are filthy rich. Look at everything that they have and stuff. And like you said, the margins are tight. And
Yeah.
I mean, to have a business, to be a builder, you gotta have things in order to get the job done. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, the last thing you want I guess for me, so from the subcontractor perspective, the last thing I want is a builder that is really hard to work with. He may give me, have all kinds of jobs available, but I'd rather. It's hard because right now I'm in the beginning and it's a roller coaster. So I try to take whatever I can get. But you don't want a GC, or you don't even want a sub that every time that person calls you, it's just like, oh no, like what could it be now?
Yes, look, Cameron, that's a great point, and this is what I want to help you take away from this podcast is get really clear on what's important to you. If you understand exactly what you're looking for, what type of builder you want to work for, what type of client you want to work for, and be comfortable with it and say no to anybody that doesn't meet that minimum standard. I understand when you're starting out and you're trying to make money, you're like, I just got to take every dollar I can get, but you don't. And when you get really intentional about saying no to things that don't meet your standard and yes to the things that do, you'll find more of the reasons to say yes to the right people. But if you're chasing the bad ones, it will bog you down to the point that you don't even see the right people because you're so busy dealing with the person that's running you ragged and costing you money.
Right. Yeah. So those are good points. I guess for all just practical purposes, I get messages sometimes from other electricians asking, like, how do I even find a GC? Like, I want to put my name out there. I want to find a builder that I can get in with them. I mean, is it just as simple as just Googling and start making some phone calls?
I think that's the basic thing. Jump on Google, look on Facebook, Instagram, all the social media platforms. The next step that I would take is look into joining the home building associations in your area.
Yeah.
Right? So the home building association is not just for builders. Now, yes, it is a builders association, but there's associate members as well. So you can join as an electrician. You'll go to the networking events. That's a great opportunity to get out there and meet the builders, to meet other trades, and really just network and grow your business.
So the home builders association, those are local wherever you are, and you're saying that sometimes there's events that are related to that. Just Google home builders association, you can probably find the next event that's coming.
Oh, absolutely. I'm on the board of directors for the Blue Ridge Home Builder Association out of Charlottesville. So I'm currently the treasurer, and I'm in line to be the president of that association. And I am very pro Home Builder Association, and I'm pro the trades getting involved
Yep.
and talking to those builders. And again, some of the builders, might not talk to you, and then I would just say they're not the builders you want to partner with anyway. So don't lose sleep over those things. But the HBAs, it's a nationwide organization, and then it's got state and local chapters.
Yeah, and like there's other local events sometimes. Maybe a local town or city has events that it's not necessarily a home builders association event, but just local events where you have all kinds of vendors. And I've been to plenty of those in my area. And sometimes builders set up tents. Sometimes you can find people to talk to. I also put out my information on local Facebook groups, like the local
Sure.
towns that are surrounding me. I just throw my name out there, and you never know what. So I'll tell you this. I said this on an Instagram live last night. Me and my buddy, we had a service call once, and it was just a little thing like fixing a couple lights or something not that big of a deal. Well, little did we know that the guy, he does a lot of GC type work. He has like 30 rental houses. He's always got a construction project going on. We had no idea until after we did that first service call, and then
Yeah.
something so small turned into now we do like all kinds of big projects for this guy now.
It's so great to hear that. And you just never know what opportunity will come from something. And I really put a lot of emphasis on attitude.
Hmm.
When you go to a customer's house or you're doing a job, or man, you're just at Lowe's or Home Depot, have a good attitude, because it's hard to find people with the right attitude that want to work, that want to go and earn their money. And when we find them, we want to latch on and hold on to them. As we speak, there's a punch person down below in my house doing some punch work on my custom build.
Hmm.
And I hired him from a friend. And then, of course, I say, well, you go to Charlottesville, I've got these $1 million+ homes that I would love to bring you up there and have you do work on, because his attitude is really good. He does good work, and he takes a lot of pride in what he's doing.
Sure.
You just never know how you're going to come into these relationships, and you just never know what comes of it.
Right. Yeah, that's good. So something else that you touched on a minute ago is when you're talking about GCs and everyone's different. It seems like many GCs, and maybe this comes more with the track homes or the spec homes, they're just looking for the bottom line. They just want the cheapest price.
Sure.
And I get DMs sometimes saying that, these guys saying, I don't know what to do because I can't compete with this guy over here who's dirt cheap. And so for you, Josh,
Right.
like for you and or just your company that you work for as a whole, like what's your balance between price and quality? Because you obviously just don't want to pick the highest person every time, but also you do care about the quality of work. Right. So,
Yeah.
do y'all like have just a healthy medium there?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. You figure out what areas don't you need to worry about really high end quality. Okay, let's just take from like the beginning, clearing a lot. What type of quality do you need when clearing the lot, right? So you want to be as tight as you can and not try to give away all your money when you're clearing the lot, because you're not really doing anything that's going to be long lasting, where they're going to say, the way they knocked that tree down, I really don't like it. Like, they forgot about it as soon as that activity is done. But the way a door is hung, they'll remember forever. So you want to be strategic about where you're spending your money and what you're spending it on. And I think the burden is really on both the trade and the builder. If you're going to be more expensive than the next person up, you need to show me why you're more expensive, right? Because every time I meet with a client and I'm selling this house, I'm selling you along with me. You're part of my team. And if I've got to sell your price at, say, $1,000 versus the next person up at $700, I have to have a compelling reason to sell you at $1,000. And what I mean by having the good attitude and doing these other little things, it helps me sell it, because I can easily tell that customer, this is the only electrician I'll partner with. Yes, they're more expensive than the rest, but they give you really good product. You don't have to worry about service. You don't have to worry about things going wrong. They give you that peace of mind.
Yeah.
And it's hard to put a price on that type of stuff. So that's where the trades really help us as GCs and builders.
Yeah. So the contractor meetup that I was just at last weekend in LA, it was 100 electrical contractors within the LA area. Now LA is huge, right? So they could be an hour and a half, 2 hours from each other, depending on which direction you go. But we were all talking about pricing. I mean, that's a common question that gets brought up: pricing, pricing, pricing.
Sure.
And everyone's gonna be different for different reasons.
Yep.
But a scenario that someone threw up is, okay, you have Right Wire Electric, Rudy. He's been in business for over 20 years out in Southern California, right? And I think it's evident that he does things well. He does good quality work. He knows how to do business, right? So let's just pretend me. I'm out there just starting out, all right, and everyone wants to talk about what are you charging per square foot and yada, yada, yada. Well, if Rudy has a price right here for his square footage, whatever that may be, and then I'm like, oh, well, is that how much this house is worth? I need to match that, basically, So you have two prices that are the same. Why the heck would they pick me over someone who's been established and has a rapport for 20 years? And so do you see a lot of that? Do you deal with a lot of that kind of stuff, or do y'all basically have your subs no matter what at this point?
No, it's hit or miss, to be honest with you, Cameron, because where Rudy might be the preferred contractor and that's the person who everybody knows he has a great reputation, but what if he's backed up by 2 months? Because everybody knows him and they love him and his price is good. So it's not just the price that's driving it, it's availability. How long will it take you to trim out the house? Do you clean up the house every day when you're done? Like, think of these reasons, these simple things that you're like, look, I do that on a normal basis, but your competition doesn't. You have to set yourself apart from the competition. And how you do that is just being very basic. Do the simple things really, really well every single day, every single time, and you already stand out from the rest of the group.
Yeah. So we have we're just finishing up a new construction house, and there had been talk in the past between me, the customer, I'll say, or the GC, and a house being built down the road. All right, that's roughly the same size, and I guess they did some investigating, and I was a little bit higher than the electrician down the road, which I'm like, what does that matter? But when I looked into it, that electrician, he's an older gentleman, like in his 50s, and he's just doing this on the side by himself. So it's like, okay, do you want the guy who lives, an hour away from your house? A one-man show, he's going to take forever to get your house wired and trimmed out. If you need something moved, if there's a change order, if I need to swing by, is that guy going to be able to come by and do it immediately? Probably not. He's not going to be able to do it. Versus me, and I have another guy I work with plus 4 other helpers that are on call after they get off of their full-time jobs, basically, and on weekends, we can come knock it out and have you, get your house roughed in 2 weeks or less. You know what I'm saying? Versus I'm dragging this thing out forever and ever.
Well, that's really your compelling argument to that builder then. Look, time is money. If you start looking at a $300,000 house with a construction loan, you're talking about $1,000 to $3,000 a month in interest only that builder's paying.
Sure.
Every day is worth money. So when you start thinking about I'm more expensive, but I'm finishing it 3 days early. What's that worth to you? I'm more expensive, but my job site is clean. What is that worth to you? When the customer comes out on the job, you don't have to worry about them talking to me because I'm not going to badmouth you. I'm going to tell them you picked one of the best builders in the market. Good thinking. You're going to love this house. That says something different, right? Because you've been on jobs where trades are talking trash about the builder. They're talking trash about the other trades. Don't you think people hear that? Customers hear that? That's the difference that you bring. And I know that it sounds simple and it sounds basic, and it works because you're rare.
Well, even if I feel a certain way about something, I keep it to myself. I don't go gossiping to other subs.
Yeah.
If I have an issue, and if I want to say something, I'll just say it straight to the builder or the customer, whoever. I'm not going to go
thank you.
gossiping with other subcontractors, and you're like, oh yeah, this guy, this dude's crazy and stuff. Because it's all going to come back around, and if it doesn't come back around on that particular job, that it will come around one day, because if you have that attitude basically on every job, it's going to catch up with you.
It always catches up with you. I ask the trades, and I know that this sounds crazy. I want your feedback. I just met with a plumber the other day. He's getting ready to rough in a house, and I said, hey, this is all I ask of you. When you're done with the job, I want the feedback. What could we do different? How do we have you better prepared? How do we ensure that the job is ready? What can we do different from a design perspective? How do I make you more successful? So as a builder, I care about the trades. I want to make sure you're making money. I want to make sure you're happy, because if you're happy and you're making money, then you're out there actively selling my business.
Yeah. Yep, that's right. Yeah. So, by the way, a minute ago you were talking about cleaning up and stuff. To be honest, I see the sheetrock guys and the HVAC guys leaving more mess than anybody else.
There, look, Cameron, I just love to pick on electricians about it, but it's it's a habit of everybody, and it all comes down to the builder and what expectation you set. My electrician on our jobs notoriously would not clean up at the end of his job, and he would say, "No, you got to pay someone to do that. You pay a labor." So I go into the house one day when he's wrapping up, and I'm frustrated with my project manager. Right, he's not getting the job done. He's doing things that are really irritating me. When I'm mad, I go to the job and I want to talk to you. I want to be direct about it. Well, he's like blowing me off in a sense. He's trying to do something else to keep himself occupied. And so while I'm upset, I'm sweeping the house for the electrician, and I'm cleaning up the electrician's mess. And then you know what he does? He picks up a broom and starts cleaning up. Because I'm setting an example that this is a requirement in our houses. I'm the vice president of the company. I'm out there sweeping the house after you. If I'm on your job site and cleaning up your mess, that probably sends a message to you, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've even heard. So as far as picking up trash, I've heard of this being in contracts just to clear up any confusion. So for me personally,
Sure.
I just created a contract like a month ago because I've been operating without them, and yeah, I know I should have contracts, but I'm learning. Okay, I get.
Sure.
My problem is that I want to see the best in people, and not everyone. Yes. It's just not going to go like that, unfortunately, every time. And so that's why it's good to have contracts. But to my point, with trash, so basically my new policy, if I were like on my next house, whenever that comes, as far as trash goes, I mean, it seems so minute and whatever, but you got to talk about everything. So no one's, everyone's expecting what's to be expected. So with trash, I'm just like, okay. If there's a dumpster basically right at the house on site, I'll throw my stuff in the dumpster. All right. Mm-hmm. If there's no dumpster on site, then I will neatly pile my trash in a location like in the garage or something. But it's not my job to go haul it off and find somewhere for it to go. And so, but I know some people don't even do that. They won't even clean up anything or throw it in the dumpster. It's like, nope, it's the laborer's job. Which I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's any validity to that or what, but. Yeah, I try to go the extra mile with in business to satisfy people.
You're doing the right thing by putting it in your contract and setting the expectations. And the idea that builders could just pay a laborer to stand around and clean up after your mess. I would ask you if you have a project, it's X dollars. Are you okay with me reducing your price by 1% so I can pay my labor to clean up your trash? The answer is almost always going to be no. Well, who do you think is paying that bill? Right. I mean, if I could show you my margins, you would ask what the heck I'm doing in business. And builders across the nation are not making record profits. Now, maybe 20, 30 years into their business, they start making money, and you see that, right? You see that level of success. But it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of work and a lot of effort to build that business up to that point, and a lot of risk.
Right. So when we talk about giving each other feedback as far as, the sub to the builder or maybe vice versa, the builder to the sub. So one of my biggest things is scheduling, right?
Yeah.
So homeowner GCs don't understand this, but a good GC understands this. All right. And I'm not saying that I'm not showing up if there's one other person there. I'm not saying that.
Sure.
But it depends on the trade too, if they're going to be in my way and if I'm going to be in their way.
That's right.
But I've been up to job sites where literally there's probably 6 or 7 different subcontractors there. The whole driveway was full. Yeah. If someone wanted to leave, everyone had to back out, load up, and move, and then they all pulled back in.
It's bad, and we've talked about this in the past. It's one of my biggest frustrations. We as general contractors have to do a better job of scheduling. We have to have our 2-week look ahead, be really focused on what's coming up and making sure the houses are ready and making sure we have our scopes of work clear. Everything is ready for you to come on the job and be successful. On the flip side, we need trades to be honest about, yes, I can start the job on that date, and yes, I'll be finished by this date. And when you're doing that and you're actually standing up and doing what you said you're going to do, it's so much easier for the GCs who do invest in their schedule to have the schedule right and have that house ready for you. So it's a team effort. And I'll speak to, there are times that we have to put more than one trade in a house at one time, just depending on circumstances, maybe a client, something else. Who knows what the circumstances are. It's imperative that we communicate it with you. Cameron, you're going to start your electrical trim out on this date. I've also got the plumber in there. He's got probably another 2 days left. He's going to be in downstairs. Can you start in upstairs? Can you start in the basement? And let's have a conversation about it, because you can then prepare your mind to know how you're going to move into that house and how you're going to still be successful knowing there's somebody else in there with you. Whereas if you show up and the plumber's in there, your first thought is, what the heck are these guys doing? I'm out of here.
Right.
I need to make sure I set the stage for you. I need you to be successful.
Right, and I'm hard on homeowner GCs. I'm not saying that all of them don't know what they're doing, but what I find, I'm just saying, like, what I see more times than not is if there's a homeowner GC situation, there's a good chance they've never done this before, and they're trying to do it. And I just want to hear from you, Josh. Like, there is just so much that goes into GCing that a homeowner GC wouldn't think about. It's more than just, oh, I know a plumber, I know an electrician, I can do this. It's like there are so many other things that go into this that you don't know about. And I think that's why, like, I even made a post, I can't remember if it was like a post or something, asking people like their experience with, I was on a Facebook group, that's what it was, their experience with homeowner GCs. And if you took 10 of them, like 7 to 8 of them are going to be horrible experiences. Yeah. Because they don't, like, the homeowner GC doesn't know how things work. Okay. And that's why, there's just a lot of miscommunication or misunderstandings or no communication at all. And so that's why I appreciate guys like you and good GCs, because they know how this works. They make my job so much easier, and if I know how this thing works, then I make y'all's job a lot easier. So, do you have? I guess that wasn't a question for him. Do you have anything to say about all that?
You're speaking my language, man. I mean, homeowners will watch it and they say, "This is so easy. All you do is get on your phone and tell people what to do all day. That is easy." Well, what you fail to see is the countless hours before and after you see us on the job making those calls and what we're doing to prepare things and get people in motion and get things to happen. And what happens when the plumber doesn't show up, the plumber that you know? What happens when the plumber shows up, does the work, and charges you 3 times the price that you negotiated early on? Right? Mm-hmm. There's so many things that go into this, and then really knowing what happens when, how to solve problems, how to communicate with people. Like, there is so much more to being a general contractor than what you see on TV or what you see when you drive through these communities under construction.
Yeah, so I wonder how much of that actually plays a part in someone who, maybe someone's watching this and is thinking about GCing their own project. I think television gives a distorted perspective of what actually takes place and how much things cost.
Oh, extremely distorted, and I think that's a big part of the problem. And I'm in favor if you want to build your own house, but sure. let's back up just a little bit. I'm a general contractor. I run a custom home building business. I built my own house that I'm currently sitting in. It was harder on the trades for me to build my own house, even knowing what I know and how to run things, because when you're building your own house, yes, you have a budget, but you will change your mind on things, and you'll want to change things and upgrade things and do things differently. It creates this yo-yo effect for the trades, which means they can't get into a flow, and they can't get in there, knock out their work, and make the money they anticipated making. They already anticipate it being more challenging if you're a homeowner GC, which means you're likely paying 10 or 20% more than you would pay if you just hired a builder. And when you hire a builder, most of us are making, 10 to 20%. So the money that you think you're saving building it on your own, you're actually spending more on the trades, and then you're going to spend even more when it comes to rework. You're going to spend more when it comes to warranty, because are they coming back? How are you going to get them back? You don't have any leverage. Sure. The builder has the leverage. My relationship is with Cameron and his electrical company. He's going to come back because I have $50,000 worth of work for him. And if he doesn't come back, I'll find somebody else, and then I'll never use Cameron again. And I've got the leverage. So I might get burned on this one job, but I'm going to make it up in the long run. You building one house is nothing. You're
Yep.
better to really get out there and interview the builders and find one that you align with that can bring your vision to life.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. And like I said, if anyone's watching this that happens to be, about to take on a project like that, building their own house or whatever it may be, a good subcontractor, unless they're like your personal friend or something, they're gonna up their price by however much they feel like to account for. Okay, like I'm gonna have to project manage some, or there's gonna be
Yes.
things that are going to come up that I wouldn't usually have to worry about with a GC. So I'm going to up my price, for example, 10 to 20%. All right, that's just
Yes.
business, right? Like you're not going to do the same
Correct.
price for a GC as a one time. Like you're just one and done basically with a
Yeah.
homeowner GC for the most part. Like you can get like some callbacks or whatever, but the sub is going to up their price, so the money that you thought you were saving, I just wonder. I would like to see like a project from start to finish and see a budget from someone who wanted to GC their own thing and look at how much money they actually saved. If
Yeah.
and we're counting interest too, because time is a huge factor, right? What you said before,
Yes.
interest every day matters, and so even another thing
Yes.
I've seen with homeowner GC projects is they can't get subs back in a timely way that they want, right? Whereas a
Bingo.
GC, if you have your subs, right, and you say, hey, I need you to come over here and move this, a change order or whatever it may be, you're going to get over
Yep.
there and do it, right? Because that builder has, like you said, 50 grand of work left for you in other
Yep.
things going on. And so when people start trying to GC their projects thinking they're going to save money, I would wonder how much money you're actually saving, and if you are saving money after the whole thing is said and done, was it really worth the headache? Was it really?
That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. You might save a little bit of money, but the experience is most likely going to be miserable. You're going to be frustrated. You're going to be upset. You might not even want to move into the house. If you have a relationship that is not rock solid, there's a good chance that your relationship is fractured. I think it's similar to, I'm not a computer tech, but I'm going to just go and fix my computer because it's broken. And it's cheaper that way, right? No, not a chance. I'm not going to do that. Just like being a lawyer or a doctor, I'm not going to go and jump into your world and then just start practicing law because I want to save a buck. I'm going to hire a lawyer that can do it, that's competent, that meets my budget, and can get me the expectations that I'm looking for. It's best to stay in your genius and do what makes you money.
Yeah, yeah. That's really good stuff. And like I said on the post that I made on Facebook, it it just seemed like some people had really really horrible experience. There were a few that said they really liked the homeowner GC thing, but
Yep.
yeah, I just think those are a lot of things to think about if you happen to be the one that's going to GC your project, or if you're a subcontractor watching this, be thinking about these things, because you're
Yes.
probably going to run into issues, and it could be a really big issue or maybe just a whole bunch of little things, but you need to account for that in your bid.
Yeah, look, if you think you're not going to run into issues, you're already running into issues. Every single project has issues. Everything that we do has issues. It's not an issue because we know how to resolve it quickly. If you run into an electrical issue or you're troubleshooting something, it's not very difficult for you to solve the problem because that's what you do every day. If I run into a home building issue, it's very easy for me to solve 95% of those issues because I've probably dealt with it in the past, which means I'm saving time. It'll take me 5 minutes to solve your issue, whereas it might take you 5 weeks. So my issue is a 5 minute problem, which is a nickel, and your problem is worth $4,500.
Man, that's so good.
So going back to money, right? Time is money. You want somebody who knows the answer very quickly, and you're not losing time.
Yeah, no, that's really good. With my house, it was different. I didn't need a builder with my project because I bought a modular home. The company doesn't exist anymore. I don't know what it's called now. The company just shut down a few months ago, but then someone else took it over with a different name. But it used to be called Hilltop Structures. It was a company owned just outside of Nashville, and they're actually owned by Mennonites, and they sub out some of their work to Amish. So my house is built by some Amish and Mennonites, and they did an amazing job. They always do a really good job. But they built it. It comes turnkey ready. They bring it on a trailer. They also bring a crane, and they set it on my block foundation, right? And then that's basically it. I have to do my hookups like water, septic, electrical. So with mine, I was able to GC it because one, I paid them to build the actual structure, right? So the only thing I had to manage, I had to manage like maybe 4 or 5 different subs. Okay, I had if you want to count the house company, you can count them as one. I had to have someone put a well in, septic, driveway, and then I did my own electrical. So it was pretty easy. And I will say this: I can't imagine dealing with like 30 different people on a house. You know, like it was good. I didn't have anything go wrong because I was just only dealing with a few people. And actually, the things I had done, I had like one guy who did 3 of those things. So really, it was like 3 people I was dealing with, and everything went smooth. But I can't imagine trying to build it like a decent sized house and dealing with all the subs.
Yeah, it's difficult, Cameron. You know how it is just wrangling your troops, right? The couple people you've got on your crew that
Yeah.
you're trying to mobilize and get into the house, and then making sure that they're doing the work right, doing it to the quality you want. Now times that by every single trade that touches the house, because now you're not only just trying to get the task done, you got to get the task done and make sure it was done to the correct specs, so that the next trade when he shows up, it's ready for that trade. Because if it's not done correctly and you've got a quality issue, and then the next trade shows up and does their work over top of the bad quality issue, now you got a bigger issue. So there's so much more to it than just, hey, I need you here on this day. This is what I need you to do. They do it. You pay them. You move on to the next one. There's more to it than that. And I think that's the thing that makes it difficult is everything behind the scenes.
Yeah, and like you said, I think you said earlier, that's a liability thing too. If something goes wrong, then
Oh,
get the builder on that. He'll take care of it.
that's what you want, right? The builder is peace of mind. So I
Sure.
think
Yeah.
my best advice is do your due diligence. Interview the builders and make sure there's alignment, right? It's not every builder is going to be the right builder. Just like I interview candidates to join my team, I interview trades to join my team. You should interview builders the exact same way. And your builder should be open to, yeah, I'm happy to introduce you to some of my trades. Yes, I'm happy to introduce you to my
Yeah.
past clients. If they're not willing to do those things, they're red flags.
Yeah, like even like so from my perspective as a subcontractor, if if I get another homeowner GC potential project, we should be the ones interviewing them, not them trying to get us. We should be interviewing them because depending on how that goes. So if I do a walkthrough or if I meet up at their house or I'm on the phone with them, um, okay, I'll give you an example. Like if I go meet at a location and it's a person who wants to build their own house and he's there with his family and whatnot. Well, if the man, let's just say he's married and has kids, if he starts talking with an attitude to his wife or with his kids in front of me, yeah, you know how that's going to go, right? I mean, that's already an indicator that you need to get the heck out of there because your project is going to go just like that.
That's Cameron. I don't know if this was a breakthrough for you recently, but that's exactly the right attitude. If you're seeing a client share red flags before you've pulled the first wire, then just walk away from it. It's very, listen, it's hard to say no to work when you need money.
Right.
But if you do it today when you really need the money, it will become so easy in the future for you to say no to the wrong projects.
Yeah. So moral of the story: don't be a homeowner GC. I think we persuaded everyone to not be a GC.
I think it's two part. I think I would highly caution people against being a GC if they don't have experience with it, and I'd ask all of the subs to really do a thorough job interviewing the builders and the homeowners and anybody else they're doing work for. You're interviewing your candidates. You're making sure they embody your core values. Well, your customers should embody your core values too. If your customers don't like fill your core values, if they don't see your vision for what you're trying to do as your company, they're not your customers.
Right.
Be comfortable walking away from them. And if you're frustrated with builders saying I'm not the cheapest, so they're not hiring me, be more comfortable charging what you're charging if you have a compelling argument for the charge. Now, if you're not getting any work and you can't figure that out, then maybe you are charging too much. You need to figure that out. But you have to be really intentional about what you're chasing.
Yeah. That's good. So Josh, we're approaching 40 minutes now. So we should probably wrap this thing up. And I know you have things to do. So Josh, if you would, before we hop off here, and again, thanks for coming on and sharing your insight and wisdom in the construction industry. And so, where can people find you? How can people contact you if they want to talk to you?
Yeah, a couple different places. We have a weekly podcast called Feed Me Your Construction Content. You can find it on iTunes, Spotify, just about every podcast platform. It's a podcast my wife and I host. I'm the builder. My wife is an interior designer. So we have discussions around anything and everything construction related. This last week we had a discussion around firing employees and what that feels like and what goes through the mind of management, right? Because you see things, these things happen, right? This is all part of our business. And you're like, well, what were they thinking when they let that person go? How did they handle things afterwards? So we give you that insider information on that. We also talk about different trades, having Cameron and individuals like himself on to promote their business. So Feed Me Your Construction Content. That's our weekly podcast. We hope you'll tune in and listen to that. You can also find me on LinkedIn. It's Joshua McMahon, JoshUAMCMAHON. You can also find me probably, I don't know, Bramante Homes if you wanted to look up our actual builder. We're out of Charlottesville, Virginia. But the real big, easy way to find me is through LinkedIn. You can see all my different channels there.
Okay. Well, awesome, Josh. Wish we could talk more, but until next time, I hope you all enjoyed this episode, and thanks again, Josh, for coming on.
Man, thank you so much for having me on, Cameron. I can't wait to do this again. This was actually a lot of fun, dude. Thank you very much.
Heck yeah, we'll have round 2 in the near future.
Good. I hope so. We'll hear about some of your business successes.
Yeah, well, successes and failures, right? Because
yes,
going to be
that's
both. You got to talk about
that's
both.
all part of the game.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Thanks for coming on, and thank you all for joining in.
Thanks, brother.